mean, what car do we all need to drive? Like, hopefully my kids don't even have to care. But, I think the definition of success has been tied way too much to how much money you make. And I got to be honest with you, I've met a lot of people with a lot of money, and I don't find many that are happy. So I think I think there would be this way that I would have to stand on a million soapboxes to teach, but success doesn't have to do with this buck. And then the buck is just chasing the buck, and then life becomes just chasing bucks.
Have you ever wondered how successful architecture, engineering, and construction companies scale their business?
Or have you ever wanted guidance on how to get more growth, wealth, and freedom from your AEC company?
Well, then you're in luck. Hi, I'm Will Forat.
And I'm Justin Nagel, and we're your podcast hosts.
We interview successful AEC business leaders to learn how they use people, process, and technology to scale their businesses.
So sit back and get ready to learn from the industry's best. This is Building Scale.
Hey listeners, it's Will here. Our mission is to help the AEC industry protect itself by making technology easy. If you've ever listened to our show, then you know that the 3 pillars of scaling a business are people, process, and technology. So if you suspect technology is your weak link, then book a call with us to see where we can help maximize your company's IT and cybersecurity strategy. Just go to buildingscale.net/help.
Hey everybody, it's Justin Nagel here from Spot Migration. Welcome back to another episode of Building Scale, specifically the Building Connection series where we partnered up with Keymakers out in Arizona, where I am from, even though today I'm not currently there. They're essentially a high-level networking group that gets deals done and opens all the doors that you need in your business. This is where I met the amazing Rachelle Strole, who is the guest that we have on today. She's the owner of Capital Asset Management, or CAM, as they like to call it. She's got a rich background in banking, development, real estate, and with that diverse history and experience managing the first FDIC structured sales portfolio holding $700 million in commercial assets. She was able to co-found CAM in 2008, which is really cool. And she consults and mentors and advocates for community improvement, balancing family life, that work-home balance. We talk about that, philanthropy, and she's just a lot of fun. Like there's few people that you initially meet and you're like, man, you're just a ton of fun, silly in the best amazing ways. And yeah, it's been fun getting to know her over the past few months, and this is one of the conversations we had for you. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, and here it is.
Yes. So Rachelle, I am very, very excited to kind of share this conversation with other people, because every time I've talked to you, I've smiled most of the conversation. So that's always an awesome thing. And your stories are unbelievably fascinating, in addition to the wealth of knowledge you have in the business world. So this to me this is just easy. This is just a pleasure for me. So
this is just fun stuff.
It's totally fun. So for listeners, tell a little bit of your story. What's the background here, and so we can just kind of get into some nitty gritty stuff.
Business wise, kind of a weird story. Was a 16 years government underwriter, Fannie Freddie stuff. In a whole nother story of how we got involved with the FDIC structured sale portfolio. Next thing you know, we're forming a company to figure out what the heck we're going to do with $780 million of commercial real estate. And the funny part of that is the list they gave us, like this little old tiny 9-point Excel spreadsheet, was like 90% inaccurate. So it was
nice.
They're like, there's this lot in Las Vegas, and and I had to go travel to see. There's only like 54 units in the whole thing, but it was a large project, so I had to go see each one, and I'd be calling them like, this is a 1935 storage unit right off the strip, and they're like, no, that's a piece of dirt. Like, no, I'm standing right here. Yeah, and I'm looking at it, and no, it's a piece. So it kind of went like that, and it was dogs and cats too. I mean, it was car washes, half-built malls. It was just a freaking blast. Let's just put it that way. It was just like if you went, when you were a kid and you could pay $2 for a grab bag and you just didn't know what was in it. That was that just at a very big level. And then for up until the day, we still have some of the assets. It was just your day planned you didn't plan your day. And you had your cute little book of what you're going to get done. And you got there by 8:10 in the morning. And then it was like, oh, we'll rip that shit up because that's what happened. You just jumped through the window in a casino in Vegas and landed on a dead guy. Oh, he's been dead a while. Oh, let's build this into a Walgreens. So the whole company was formed with the purpose of knowing that the people in charge were just much bigger than day-to-day stuff. Yeah. So, who's going to cut the lawn? Who's going to collect the rents? Who's going to unbuild something that shouldn't have been built? Who should build something that should be built? Who should get rid of the dead guy in the old casino? So we put together this company 2009 with trying to fit all the pieces together because you knew you were going to have these conference calls with 30 people on them. Yeah. And if they ever had to divert to someone else or a third party, the call was just going to be that much longer. Uh-huh. And, God help us, patients can only be, even with kids, it was really, we need a 3-hour phone call. So, so we had kind of everything. We have development and we have management and we have acquisitions and dispositions and just every bit of what would take if you got handed a grab bag of commercial real estate and you had to figure it out. It was the world's biggest puzzle in the Southwest only, which was kind of cool. So so that was how this whole crazy ass stuff started.
So 2009, you just had obviously you were working with the government, but you had this vision of hey, we should just go do this thing. That was the thought process.
I think it was more we're going to do this and you were going to fix it.
Okay.
Sure. I'm not sure we were. I think we luckily the group that actually was the partner with the Fed were probably the group of the best humans I've ever met or worked with. And they were more of the people that said, what you're thinking sounds good. Go ahead and do it. Okay. It was just a freedom of all kinds. And then we just started making shit up. All day, every day. It was because this stuff doesn't happen, right? Yeah. So in all honesty, I think we had a good background. We had the best people. We still have the best people on demand, but we really were making stuff up. Yeah, on a daily basis. But
that is entrepreneurship, right? That is owning a business. It is a lot of building the plane as it's going down, right? It's is it gonna work? Well, we hope it does before we get to the bottom, kind of a thing, right?
All the traveling I do not want to hear you say that ever again.
Sorry, won't bring up any more plane stories.
No crashing planes.
But so you're going through this, and then it's all these properties that somebody said there's nothing there. There are stuff there. Then what happens? What do you do with those assets? What happens then? It's you say that this is dirt. I see that it's a storage unit in one of the examples. What does that mean?
Well, what then happens? What you don't do is say, hey, Pawn Wars really wants to put this on a show. Should we do that? And we're 1930s to 50s storage unit. Blocks are all rusted up.
In Vegas.
We don't want to open that on TV. Yeah. There's going to be nothing but barrels, and we're not opening those either. But no, it actually, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we just, started siloing them into what they really were. Car washes here, retail here, God knows what here. Put them in their buckets. Figured out who could figure them out the best in the bucket. Mm-hmm. And they just went for it. It's just, you couldn't leave it. So it's just trying to figure out what should it be when it grows up, if it even should have been born, was kind of the fun. What should this have been? What could it be, or should it have ever been? For example, Water Park in Yuma, Arizona. Probably a misstep on that one, right? Maybe just a little bit of think that again.
All right.
So, and you could just go on and on about that, but that was kind of the steps. And it was fun because just now that we're in development in any, even looking at raw dirt, if you just go sit there long enough, you just what, this would be cool. What's needed here. You just kind of, this is being a little kid again. I got my imaginary friend. I just get to build it.
So what's a a lot of companies, if they either start with a vision or eventually a vision becomes part of the ethos of an organization, what does that look like maybe when you started, and then in comparison to now, what does that look like? Obviously doing development and like saying like, hey, we want, this makes sense to be here. And like those things, like, do you have a bigger, grander idea of like, hey, we're trying to leave a stamp, we're trying to leave a legacy, we're trying to leave some of those things?
No question. The more you get into commercial real estate, as a matter of fact, we did a Forbes magazine thing that they ended up calling us the dinosaur slayers. And I just love that because I love Game of Thrones. So I was like, yes, we are. But the antiquated state that commercial real estate is in, because that wasn't our background, just kind of blew our minds. It was like, we're still doing things like our grandpa's grandpa did. Why? Like, I mean, I'm talking from software to how we manage things, to how, checks are collected, to how we build. And it was just mind blowing that everything we touched was something my great grandpa probably did. And with the same sticks, with the same tools, with the same vendors, with the same whatever. And I think we decided early on, like, yeah, this is just stupid. I mean, we're paperless, and it just blows people's minds. And I'm like, what do you need paper for? We don't accept checks. We scan everything. All of our engineers are on, different software systems to allow them to do things. And there's still people just writing like, work orders on a piece of paper and then sticking it on a cork board and saying, oh, this commercial site over here has got a water leak. I mean, what? Just simple things like putting, drip systems in that tell you when it's leaking. It's just like things that are just so easy. So I think our goal and our real merge through life now is, and our whole motto for the company is commercial real estate better. Okay. Simple. Like just do it better. Bring it up to just bring it up to 2,000 for God's sake. And then, take it year by year. But, so I think that has been who we've morphed into, and what we really are attempting to become is like, it's just logical, it's more efficient, and it's better. It's better for your clients. It's better for you. It's better for your developments. It's better for your tenants. Just embrace it. Don't be scared of change. Go for it. Dive in. Fail for God's sake. It's not going to kill you. It's not the worst F word we've all heard. I mean, it's a good one. Embrace the fail. At least you tried, or you can just sit back and do it like great grandpa did. You'll make money, but whoopee. We talk about innovation a lot. And when I think of innovation, right, it's just failing a lot. Like, that's what innovation is. It's like how Edison made like 999 light bulbs for the one that he made that worked, right? That's innovation. That's the part that nobody talks about. They say, oh, we have a new electric car or whatever it is, right? And it's like, look how innovative we are. And it's like, yeah, but like, how many prototypes were butchered in the time to get that to be the thing that eventually was, the creation? Like, that is it. And I think a lot of people fear failure, which is unfortunate, because that's how we get better, how we evolve, even as individuals, right? Like, I'm a better dad today than I was a year ago, because I did dumb shit. Like, I did things that didn't make sense, right? And like, now I look back and I'm like, well, that didn't work, and that was dumb. So like, let me try something else, or let me evolve into something better. The diaper goes on the other end.
Nobody told me that. I would like to say there's no books, but there's like a trillion books. Joke. When I think about this, like, why do you think that like it's just so far behind? We see it in construction for sure. There's like technology behind, processes behind, commercial real estate in general, though. Why do you think it's so behind? Is it just the fear of failure, or is it just like, well, the money's there, so what do I care?
Oh, sadly. Sadly, I would say that it's a very lucrative business. And I think a lot of people are like, why break it? What the wheel, and I'm like, well, the wheel's broken. You just haven't seen the 3 of the 10 spokes are gone. Yeah. And then soon 8 of the 10 spokes will be gone, and it'll still roll for a little bit, but it is, and it's just, again, it's also becomes just a disservice to everyone. Like our tech on our property management side is so top notch, and the profitability of each of those properties goes up just because the tech is better. And it sucks to spend money training 52 people on some new software. It does. And it costs you money to do it. And it's like, well, why would you send, 30 of your people off to a class to learn about, some new forecast manager that'll teach people how to make their property better, when I could just collect rents, take a percentage and pay myself, right? I mean, you can see, and you won't fail because you're not changing anything. And then like with the development side, that's where it really takes you to the next level, because you try building with different products, and that saddest part of that is we're very sustainable driven. You can't even get lending for it. Like we had a new system that we could put together that literally was faster. It was R30 going in, no bugs, no mold, fireproof. I mean, build it and soundproof. Build that in. If I had that in college, because I can tell you that the guy who lived next to me in my condo in college, watched movies till 4 a.m. Do you want me to tell you each one? Because I listened to every word of every one every Friday night. The poor guy needed a date. I think I probably fixed that for him. But I mean, there's build better, but then you take it out, and even if your numbers work, you'll have a lender that'll be like, well, but if you cut a tree down and make it a stick, we can underwrite that shit right there, like right now. Or you want to go educate our 70-year-old underwriter who's been underwriting sticks and stones for the last 20 years. And there's where we have to push through and find ways to make it economical. I think this summer in Arizona may help in the fact that you build with stucco and sticks and asphalt and concrete and sprawl, and then wonder why the temperature doesn't go down at night, while every succulent plant that's lived in the desert is dying. And you don't think to yourself, wow, if I had just put those white tile roofs on, or, use a material that doesn't hold heat in, or it's R30 so you don't have to crank your air. Do you know that they fire up jet engines to keep our power going in the summer?
I did not know that.
So make yourself ill by thinking about what kind of fuel that burns through.
Oh my God,
just keep thinking of how gross this can get. But yet, if you say, I have a way to do this, and I'll take the hit, I'll pay the extra $2 a square foot. I, as a developer, will take that hit. I will take it and I will smile about it. My kids will be proud of me. And they're still going, oh, but if you cut that tree down and made it into a stick, you can do it for this. The things are changing to the point of an extreme where I think these conversations won't be that hard. Yeah. Because Arizona is continuing to grow. We are not going to cool off at night if we keep building like we're building. You can't have concrete, asphalt in buildings that just hold heat all day, all night long, with roofs, which, by the way, roofs are our biggest problem. And you can't even say, in an HOA, how about we use this new tile that actually is reflective? Because what's not pretty enough? Oh, well, okay. When you're paying $1,000 a month to keep your house cool, I might think what's pretty. Yeah. Anyway,
pretty compared to function. No, I love it. Pretty compared to function. There is balance, right? So there is a balance to design and function, no question about that. But in this scenario, I would throw white tile on my roof. I wouldn't have any. I would have no issue doing that.
Thank you. I would too. But when you take it out and you bring it up to people, they're like, well, but even, people that don't have anything to do with it, like the guys just doing the construction loan, it's like, really? Are you sure that's not going to hurt your impact? And I'm like, you know what? I can tell you this. With the young groups that are young and renting, if I said to them, if you stay here, your power bill will be lower, but yet you're changing the environment, and my rents are the same, I promise you they'll pick me. Give them the chance, because they will, because they're young and they want to change the world. They don't get tainted until we all tell them that they can't, or that there's no little step, or no little step matters. But they're young enough to be like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to live there where I can tell my friends I'm doing something that's better for the world. And then we get, 30 and we're like, I'm not doing nothing. Nothing's changing nothing. We get so cynical and shitty, and it's like, no, you're wrong. Keep trying. Fail, for God's sake.
Before we started recording, we were talking about my son being 4 and his just very empathetic and inquisitive and all those things that we beat out of, not literally, but we beat out of children by saying, no, don't do it, do it this way or do that way or think about it this way, in comparison to letting them just be and express, because it's harder for us, right? We got schedules and we got shit to do, right? But for them, they're just, they're trying to figure out, well, what makes the most sense, right? I'm in full learn mode. I don't have any of these stresses. I'm totally able to learn a new language. If you threw me down for an hour a day, I would be able to speak that language in a month and a half. And it's very wild that's the reality. And as you get older, as your point, when you get 30, you're not the same person as you were when you were, say, 22.
I would challenge, I think, and I've got a 15 and a 16-year-old, is defining success to these young people. Like, I think my life was defined that success was a financial thing. Like, it doesn't matter. I was an art kid. I loved art. I loved all this. And my folks were like, that's so sweet. And you're good at it, but you will never make any money doing that. How about you get into banking? I'm like, no, I'm getting like straight A's at ASU and fine. And they're like, oh, that's so cute. Now get a real life, and I would have been, I don't need a bag with a name on it, but I think we also need to morph the way that we teach young people success, because success can't be tied to dollars, because then the happiness goes away. And then you can never chase the almighty buck big enough, because there's always someone that's got more, and it's bigger and it's more and it's bigger. How about if your success was happiness and giving back and feeling good and doing the right thing and all that? And you know what? What car do we all need to drive? Like, hopefully my kids don't even have to care. But I think the definition of success has been tied way too much to how much money you make. And I got to be honest with you, I've met a lot of people with a lot of money, and I don't find many that are happy. So I think there would be this way that I would have to stand on a million soapboxes to teach, but success doesn't have to do with this buck. And then the buck is just chasing the buck, and then life becomes just chasing bucks.
How do you take that concept, which I very much agree with you? How do you take that concept and then put it into the business? Because obviously business needs to make money, right? Like we're in business because we are looking to make a profit, right? And do that. But how do you balance those concepts of like, what does success look like, for an individual that you are a leader of in the business?
I will tell you, and I think I mentioned this to you, and I get all goofy about it. We won something a couple of years ago about just being a great culture. I can't remember what the award was, but of all the things that we've received, it was the one that really made me happy. I mean, like, truthfully joyful, because we do talk to we have every age group, by the way, but we do talk about happiness and life balance, and dogs and cats come to work. I have a new leopard kitten, by the way. So he might eat every dog that comes in, but I bring this crazy kitten in on Fridays, and we bring in food, and we remodeled and built a big ass bar. And you know what? I love that big ass bar. And, but we talk a lot about, extremes, overworking, enjoyment. We have a book club. We have a fantasy football league that abuses one another. We go to quarterly charity events, because you know what? Everyone can tell you, oh God, I did it. And you know what? They all leave happy. They all leave different. They all feel touched. They all have touched. I mean, it's a cultural thing. I mean, you have to, I've been in other companies, it's just like, how much did you make? What are your goals? What's your deal today? I had one person that started with our company when we purchased Zell, and she's just so motivated and amazing, but she wanted to meet every week to talk about where she was in her goals. And I'm like, that's awesome. But then we had to morph that from a financial goal to a success goal. Yeah. And it was really like, kind of, what? You don't want to talk about my numbers? I'm like, I do want to talk about your numbers. I absolutely want to talk about your numbers. Number one, I want to talk about why you have these numbers where you have them. And then let's talk about your life, because they might not match. The number you're striving for may take joy out of your 3 little kids. Let's talk about that part of it. Like, what is good, what is great, and what is happy? Can we find that spot? And we still talk every single week, and we have our scheduled time, but now we talk about way more than how many bucks did you make? How many bucks you going to make? How are you going to end the year? That's important. Of course it is.
Yeah,
she's goal driven and she's amazing. But also we talk about the kids and the trips and the vacations and the things that I don't know if she would have taken if the goal had been just this financial goal.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's interesting because we talk about, in business, we talk about outcomes, right? Like, what's the outcome that we're trying to deliver for our clients, or what's the outcome we're trying to get from a partner, or whatever that is. And the outcome, if the outcome is you diving into a pile of money, I guess the money's important then. But like, the outcome is usually not that, right? Like, it's usually not that imagery. It's usually like, I want my kids to be happy. I want I want to, have time with them. I want to, even like it's self things of like, I want to, read more. I want to learn a new hobby. I want to lose some weight, whatever the thing is, right? It's usually not like total money is the solution. It's like, can money help you aid on some of those things? Absolutely. And like, that's a tool to get you to those outcomes, but it's not, the money isn't the outcome. Money is a tool that should be used to get you to the outcomes that you're looking for.
Well, and I think the biggest lie in life, and maybe I'm just getting older, is, I'm just going to work so hard and make so much money that I'm just going to do all those things when I retire. Yeah, I'm gonna go on I'm gonna play tennis. I'm gonna travel the world. I'm gonna and it's like, man, I didn't know that you have that much control over the future. Like, so you know how many friends I have, and again, I'm at the age where people are retiring and all that. 2 years after they retire, I've got this wrong with me, and there's stress related, this heart conditions, stomach conditions, all these things. It's like, yeah, because you did nothing fun. You did drive yourself like crazy, and you probably have just you can dive into that bag of money, and guess what? It's going to be a death by 1,000 paper cuts from each one of those bucks. But yet none of the things, like my parents are in their 80s, and all my mom ever wants to do or wanted to do is travel. So now they have the money. We have the ability to take them and do, but they have a hard time.
Yeah.
It's hard to walk that many miles. You can't, Rome is not a lot of fun on a bike when you're 84 years old. So that all these years of trying to make our lives great and all the time that they want to do, and now are they going to get to? Are they going to get to do those things? And they did it all for us, and I appreciate it like no one's business. But the dreams that they have are they're not going to get. I'm not going to miss, and my kids aren't either. And so you must feed that in through life. Take the flipping 2-week vacation, for God's sake. The world is, unless you are actually a brain or heart surgeon, pretty much you can be gone for 2 weeks. And if you can't, your company's in a big shithole, and you better figure that out. Because if you can't leave for 2 weeks, you do not have the right folks. Yeah. But do it, take it, live it. Come on.
I literally wear a necklace every day that says "Memento Mori," right? So remember death, right? And because you can leave this world, this rock at any time, like that. Nobody knows. Not only you, but the people that in your life you care about, right? Like that could be gone. So waiting until that right time, or waiting until you hit X amount of dollars, could be the end of that, because you may not, those may never, cross paths in regards to what you want to do. So I completely agree with you. Couldn't believe more.
I play Frogger probably once a week to run across Camelback to Hillstone. And I'm pretty sure I'm taking my odds down to like getting to 80, like damn fast, because that is not an easy road to run across.
Yeah.
In heels. I've stopped wearing heels.
Of course.
So there, so you got to keep it close.
Yeah. So speaking of people, right? So like you have the greatest people is what you said, or the best people. How do you find the best people? Because everybody wants the best people. How do you find them, and then how do you keep the best people?
Oh, so I can tell you how you find them. You take a patience pill. And you like seriously take it every freaking morning, because you have a hole in the company, right? And you want to fill it because everyone else is helping to fill it. So then you meet somebody that's kind of there, and you're just like they're oh God, they're close. Like they're so close, we can mold them into it. We're gonna just bend them into this. That is complete bullshit. I mean, you are who you are, and you know what you want. Mm-hmm. Have the patience to find the one that fits. And if it sucks, it sucks. But once they fall in and they fit, and I mean that culturally too, and I mean that more than anything culturally, that they fit the family. We call our company the Cam Fam, our group, the Cam Fam.
Cam Fam.
If you fit into this Cam Fam, you fit in every way, by the music, the food, the fun, the events, the work, the farm box we dig into every Thursday. I mean, you fit in. But your temptation always, when you have a hole or someone's moving on or leaving, and you're like, God, I got to fill that. No, you don't. You got a whole family that's going to fill in until you find the right person. And then when you find those people, you make sure every single day you have the sniff test, and you go in every morning and you say hi to every single person and see what you get back. And empathy is the key to all success. You come in, it's just a 10-second sniff test. Hi, how are you doing today? You're going to know within 5 minutes who's okay and who's not. And sometimes you can help, sometimes you can't, but you at least cared. And they feel it, you feel it, and then you also have, like I said, you got the team. I mean, I can't tell you how proud I am of the group we have, but I care about them very much. But the way they care about each other is even greater. I mean, I get texts at night. Hey, did you hear, so-and-so's dog passed away? Hey, did you hear that, hey, did you hear that so-and-so's got, has been coughing in their office with the door closed for a day? Hey, they care about each other, and we care about them. And I think it really, here's the deal. Work is hard. Business is hard. But when you're working with people you really care about, it's not so hard. It's not so hard at all. It's actually a freaking blast. I mean, we give each other crap 24/7. It is a romper room in here, but everybody feels loved, cared about. They matter. They mean something, and you just got to keep reminding them.
No, that's it's interesting because we at Spot we've been talking about empathy a lot in leadership, right? Like you have to have empathy as a leader. Like there is no other path to that. At least that's certainly what we believe. And hitting right on what you're saying, like you have to care, and when you do it makes a huge difference when you find the right family member or the fam member, right?
Yeah.
So no.
Well, if you don't have empathy, I mean, you walk into a room with your own agenda, and you had a 50-50 shot, right?
Yep.
You walk into a room and you just sniff out the room and kind of figure out what everybody wants, and you don't spit out what you want, your odds go up exponentially, because you're not, here's what I want. You kind of feel whatever, everyone's edgy about what. Ooh, I hope I get this contract. Ooh, I hope they like my plan. Ooh, I don't like their plan, but I don't want to tell them. If you can feel that out in the first few minutes, your odds of success are so much better than when you walk in and it's like, here I am and here's what I want. You've shut it all down. No empathy, just a boss. Never wins.
No, I totally. A question I need to ask is about you mentioned a leopard cat. It's been on my brain after you said it. So when you say a leopard cat, do you mean a spotted cat, or do you mean like, no, this is like a leopard that I own, that I bring in?
So just to be clear, I grew up in farm country. So my house, if I lived, the bigger my house, the more animals that would be in it. I mean, we have an eel, for God's sake, an eel. So there's nothing
like an ocean, like an eel in the ocean.
Yes,
okay.
Something that I have a hard time finding house sitters, and that's because no one wants to feed the freaking eel. And I'm like, it can't walk. It's not going to, the odds of it jumping out of the tank to follow you down the hall are 0 minus 0. But yes, I see why you don't want a house sit at my house. So so we end up, one of my greatest guys here's wife is like a habitual rescuer of all things.
Yep.
And she sent a video of this kitten. My daughter I happened to make the mistake of sending it to my 16-year-old. And the next thing you know, it's coming to visit. And you know what happens when a kitten comes to your house? It doesn't leave.
It stays.
That's what happens. Yeah. But I have a 115-pound German Shepherd, a 70-pound Husky, 2 other cats, whatever. And this thing comes in. It is cute as hell, but it is not a cat. Like the minute we gave it food, it was like, rah, rah, rah. I'm like, what are you doing? My other cat's just backed away slowly. And so he tells me to say, he's like, oh yeah, that's a Savannah. And I'm like, what does that mean? And he's like, well, it's half serval, half cat. And I'm like, what point and when were you going to say that? So now I tell Aaron all the time, the joke is someday in a couple years, we're going to come home from vacation and there might be a shepherd left. They'll just be like half of an eel and the cats will just be gone, in this big serval will be just laying on the couch, patting its big round fat belly. Yeah. So the odds are good. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's a real deal cat. That's not a house cat. Well, it is a house cat, but it's not a traditional house cat.
No, I think things are gonna die. My daughter has a rescue Dijon, which by the way is half pigeon, half dove. So do you think that thing said, yo, I got rescued? that Dijon is going, what did I do wrong? Like I was at a rescue. And then this came home. Yeah. So my Dijon is probably it's just thinking it's seen its last days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I bet. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, it only gets weirder.
It was certainly a little bit off point, but I was like, I need to ask about this leopard cat. So our connection was through Keymakers. So
Yes.
let's talk a little about Keymakers and what that experience looks like and what you've had and good, bad, otherwise, ugly, all that kind of stuff.
It was kind of nuts. So I meet these guys, and I don't even know where it started, to be honest. And I get this email, and it says, "Hey, come to this Keymaker happy hour." Well, if you ever hear me say no to a happy hour, come check for a pulse.
Must be sick. Yeah, it must be sick.
Yeah, very, very ill. Like super, super ill. Like, yeah. So the first thing I went to was just a happy hour. And I walk in, and it was like, people from every gamut, right? But everyone was like, you go to a happy hour, you don't know anybody. And you're just like, you kind of key into someone you might kind of know. I mean, people were just coming over, just one after the other. Hey, I'm so-and-so from this. I'm so-and-so from that. So it's just like a super warm, fuzzy, instantaneously not uncomfortable situation. Obviously, I'm not shy at all, but
you don't say.
Yeah. There was a day, but so it was just a really friendly situation to start. But then I was like, the next couple days, so they sent off then like, here's everybody that was there. And you're like, oh, that's what that person, oh, yeah. And within days, I was getting emails from people saying, hey, I do this and you do this. I think we could do something cool like this, I give you all kinds of examples, but it was just an instant, crossing of goods, let's just say, where, I do this and I saw that you guys do this. And I'm like, God, this is like the fast track to a lot of things that you question, right? General contractors, you have to bid out 3 things. But now I've got one that I've met that I've had a few drinks with that's telling me what's going on. Restoration company. We manage 10 million square feet of stuff. You don't think that we have crap that goes on? It's just, it was super neat. But then just the different things they come up with too are just fun. It's not like you're sitting in a room with, tablecloths around a round table where everybody gets, some cheese and crackers. And then you're scared to ask for that third glass of wine because everyone's going to say, oh God, did you see she had her third glass of wine? It was just fun people. And it's so far, I've been to quite a few events, and every time I meet someone new, and most of the time something ends up happening where we all benefit. So I've been very impressed and did not know I didn't know what to think to start.
Yeah, I literally heard this quote today. Somebody said, "Collaboration is the new currency." In regards to
it's good.
When I heard it, I literally wrote it down in my journal. I literally wrote it down immediately because I was like, "Oh God, it's so true." Obviously, like building scale, like hey, we're collaborating with people to just tell stories, right? Because it's like, how do you learn, right? You learn from other people's experiences, and like you collaborate with them that way, and then it turns into, hey, I heard somebody on the show that I really would love to meet. That I think there's just a lot of synergy, and like that happens. And Keymakers is the same, where it's like you just find yourself in a room with other people, like-minded human beings that are doing things that totally cross over, which becomes, oh man, like those are the rooms you want to be in. How many of those rooms can I be in, the better I'll be, because collaboration is totally the new currency. So that's top of mind.
I love that. I think that is absolutely beautiful. I think the other thing that I find that I keep telling the younger groups that we have, that I think sometimes it's taken wrong, but I do mean it wholly, is you can't replace life experience.
Oh no.
You can't. I mean, so if I hear someone talking about something and I've done it wrong, which is a lot, by the way, a whole shitload of bad and wrong. But being in a room with people that have had enough life experience that you're like, hey, have you ever, I'll give you an example. Great guy. So I'm talking about this land auction, and I've never done a land auction. I've been around them. And he said, what are you doing? I said, land auctions. Oh, I've done like 50 of them. He said, you want to have lunch? I'm like, yeah. Yes, maybe I do. And for an hour and a half, for no reason other than to be helpful because of life experience, he guided me through everything I would have done wrong. And you can't put a dollar on that, right? Mm-hmm. You can't put the time on it, and putting people in a room that all have different life experience, and then bring in the young ones, bring in the younger ones and let them listen to the stories. And then that grows into questions, and those questions come into other questions. And those people that are too shy to ask then can email later. And, but life experiences, yes, you can be, MIT grad at 22 years old, but you haven't had the shit kicked out of you yet, bud. So I think that's where a lot of this collaboration stuff really pays off.
I completely agree. As I very much want to learn all the time. Both at Spot, one of our core values is continuous improvement, and then in my home, our core values that are on the wall, 1% better every day, right? So like very much that's how I want to live, both professionally as well as personally. So I find myself, I'm in a lot of rooms that I am not the expert in any way, shape, or form because I want to be in those rooms, but I'm starting to see. I was literally in a design build roundtable earlier this week, and it was very much. I got questioned about something, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know stuff about lean construction that I've never been in a construction site, so like that's not my thing." But I've now talked to 120 plus professionals that are in the space, and I've learned at least something from them. Like I've been listening as I've been doing interviews, so like. I was able to like, hey, like here's an example of it when it's not technical. Like, it's easy when you talk about like big BIM and all these different things, you're building data center, all this stuff. But like, what does that mean when you just are putting a truck together? And like, why is that truck set up the way it is? And is it set up exactly as the other 10 in your fleet? And what does that look like? And like an inventory system, even if it's manual, like what that looks like. And it was just cool to share those things where it was just like, I'm not the expert in the room by any means of the imagination, but I'm gaining so much experience and knowledge because I'm putting myself in those scenarios to learn that I feel like I just have to applaud the leaders like yourself that allow me to talk to you and learn stuff from you, because that's just the only way I get better is being able to see it done or obviously executing it myself.
I want you to be my partner if we ever play catchphrase, because between the two of us and all the little tidbits of stuff we know a little bit about and nothing really, I'm in. We'll be the best at that game ever.
I love that. I agree. I feel that I know a little bit about a lot. At least that's what I think. And I just try to continuously learn stuff. Currently I'm learning about ultra processed food. That's a thing that I'm currently learning about.
That's a hot topic, man.
Very hot topic. Somebody recommended a book. I recommended them a book, and then they recommended me a book. So that was the whole concept, and very eye-opening. Lots of wild stuff in that regard. But like, I'm never going to be in the food industry. At least I don't think so. That's not the path I think I'm ever going to be, creating food in labs, but just really, or farming for that matter, like the actual real food. But I don't know. Just for me, it's just intriguing to learn new stuff.
It's beautiful. Everybody should feel that way.
Yeah. But this has been a ton of fun. So I'd love you to tell the good people how they could get a hold of you, or if you want to, hey, I'm doing this thing. I'd love more collaboration on that too. Or if you're just looking for the right person or type of company, now's your time to shine, to just have an ask, if you will.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think so. We've got a new marketing team that are just amazing. So I think the best way to know what we're doing, what we're looking for, and the crazy stuff that's going on is our LinkedIn page now, the CAM CRE LinkedIn page. It also shows our stupid. I mean, we're going to have a Halloween thing on Halloween, and it just shows our dumb. But it also, tells that we're looking for certain employees. We've got this thing going on, different developments we're working on. We have no problem posting things about, does anybody think, like my white refractive ceiling tile, or roof tile, does that make sense to anybody? So we really tried to beef that up so that we can. I don't have any social media at all, so I'm just a big loser. So we brought in this group who taught me that I am such that big loser, but they have really ramped that up. So I think the Capital Asset Management on LinkedIn is by far the best way to see everything that we're doing. And I'm easy to hook up, just push, and someone smarter than me will say, hey, you should call this person.
Okay. That's awesome. Any other parting words for our listeners before we say our goodbyes?
Come to a Keymaker event, have some fun.
Oof, love that. Listeners, this has been a blast. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. I love these Keymaker ones where it's pretty relaxed and just a fun conversation. So until next time, adios. Thanks for listening to Building Scale. To help us reach even more people, please share this episode with a friend, a colleague, or on social media.
Remember, the 3 pillars of scaling a business are people, process, and technology.
And our mission is to help the AEC industry protect itself by making technology easy.
So if you think your company's technology pillar could use some improvement, Book a call with us to see how we can help maximize your IT and cybersecurity strategy. Just go to buildingscale.net/help.
And until next time,
Keep building scale.
Scale.